What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining us for another game cast. I believe this one is episode 16.
18?
Is it 18?
I have no clue. Don't ask me
I'm checking.
questions.
I'm checking. I think give me 1 second. I really should look this up beforehand. But in my head, I'm like, oh, this is episode, such and such.
You know
And
what
then
it is? It's episode 1. This is episode 1, y'all. This
here we,
is
here we go. Episode 17. There we
7.
go. So we were close. We were
We were
close.
close.
So yeah, so uh, I guess two things. Usually when we start, we kind of jump into recent happenings. Usually in the gaming world, when it comes to news and stuff like that, and then we talk about anime and stuff like that before we eventually get to our main topic. Um, that's not gonna happen
No.
this week. There's a lot of stuff going on, uh, and if unless you live under a rock, yeah, you
Hmm.
kind of know what's going on. I mean, all 50 states and other countries are all talking about the same thing.
Exactly.
And that's, the horrible stuff that we're seeing and experiencing, have been experiencing for a long time. That's kind of come to a head all of a sudden because of, police brutality. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, for all the people who are looking for more gaming stuff, anime stuff, manga, movies, and just basically entertainment. That's not gonna happen because we have other stuff to talk about,
Yeah.
more important things to talk about. Oh,
Yeah.
and side note, um, I've been blocking people on Twitter, and not just people, but like all whole websites. I'm not gonna say their names because that would defeat the purpose of blocking. But
Right.
there's this thing because Sony had the PS5. They were going to do like a reveal this week and they decided not to because of what's going on. And I'm going to get to how I feel about that in a second. But a lot of people were upset about that. And, some websites uh, wrote about it. Now, it's one thing to kind of be upset because you're like, you know what? The week has been horrible and I was looking forward to one good thing and it's gone now. I get that. But this would not be the time to express that because it makes it sound like that's all you care about. And a lot of you, that is all you care about. And so when someone on Twitter who I follow posted an article that a website put up that they quickly pulled down because they were being called out about it, of how the biggest travesty right now is the fact that we didn't get to hear more about the PS5. And I was like, please tell me who they are so I can block them right now. And I was like, yes, the entire everybody, uh, because I'm not doing it. And right after that, just so people didn't get things misconstrued, um, I want to explain or kind of say why I felt the way, or not felt the way, but basically what I was doing. And I essentially said, I'm going to paraphrase that it's one thing to act fake woke, which is what some of these websites and companies are doing to garner some good PR right now. And only time will tell how real that is. Uh, and there's another thing with being just an ass. You have your literal fans, your readers that are protesting, getting maced and manhandled by the police, and you're talking about the PS5. Yeah, yeah, no, no. So yeah, they got blocked. They got blocked, and a bunch of other people got blocked. And to you it might be like, what does it matter? You're you, right? You're like, I'm not anybody important. But for me, for my mental space, yeah, gone. And I think we all should do that.
Yeah.
Um,
You should.
because there's a lot of goofiness going on and people showing their true colors, and I don't have time for it. There's stuff that I deal with on a daily basis, or that we deal with on a daily basis,
Exactly.
that supersedes the stupid toxic stuff that we see on Twitter, that we see on Facebook, that we see on Instagram, that we see all over the place. And yeah, you can
Yeah.
imagine what the title. I'm not gonna say what the title is, but you can imagine what the title would have been, or what it is. We're we decided what it's gonna be already. We usually wait till the the podcast is done and kind of listen back and then say, "Oh, this will be a cool title." Yeah, we know what it is already.
Yeah,
Um,
it took no
it,
time.
not no time at all, no time. But so I just wanted to kind of inform you that this is where we're going. Also, uh, this will also be probably one of the episodes where I don't allow comments. Again, in the vein of blocking or to protect my peace,
Right.
I don't want to hear from the people who like our podcast have been talking to me privately. They've been, retweeting stuff. They've been thumbs upping and following and all those good things.
Yeah.
So all of you people who are cool can continue to do that. But and comment on other videos, obviously. But like this one, not so much because I'm not for it
Yeah.
today.
We're not having
So
it. And
uh,
it's today, tomorrow, and forever.
yes, facts. I mean, there will be comments. It will be put back up, but you will be blocked, you'll be banned, you'll be all those good things. Um, and depending on where you are, I might come see you. So it's
Pull up.
yeah, we're not
Pull up.
doing this. We're not.
Yeah, we're
Uh,
not. We're not about that lies. There's just no time to waste because this isn't new. We are in our late 30s at this point, and I have no energy for it. And we've talked many times before about, we give our social media handles at the end of the show, every show. And I always say, yeah, you can follow me if you want, but I don't post anything because I typically stay off my social media. It's typically got to be something powerful, something strong to make me want to post. And that could be me climbing a mountain, something that I rarely ever do, or that could be, me reacting to something funny, or me like just saying what I'm feeling, which is the only reason why I posted stuff now at this point, because we're just at a point where we're tired. We're tired. We're really, really, really tired of this. And it's something that we see in our daily lives. And not everybody has to experience what we experience in our daily lives just because we're Black. And I don't have any more energy towards it. I don't have any more energy to, I don't know really what the words are that I'm trying to say, but we're tired. It's George Floyd's murder is not the first. We've been experiencing these types of things for so long. And this is a lifelong fight for us. This isn't a, oh, I'm going to protest this week and then in 3 months we never see you again type thing. It's every day for me. So if
exactly.
you are following me on my social media, you will have noticed that for the past several days I've been posting, which again, it takes something strong to get me to post. And so you can go to my Instagram at messytessie_bakes and see what I'm posting.
Right.
Comment if you want. Like if I don't like what I see, that's going to come down.
And it's been great. I stopped by because I got a
Your
notification that you're
notification.
posting. And I was like, "What? She's posting? Hold up.
Very
I gotta come." And it was great. Like,
thank you.
it was cool to see. Uh, it was kind of like a celebration of us,
Yeah.
if you will. And because one of the things I've noticed, because right now there's a kind of a call to raise Black voices,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of media outlets that are doing that. Actually, on Blackout Tuesday, which we'll talk about in a sec.
Yeah.
Um, that was one of the things that people were trying to do was raise the different voices in different media, and in the games media. One of my white friends nominated me, like people should check me out, sort of a thing. And then I was in the middle of teaching and I was looking at my phone, it was blowing up, and all these people were following me,
Oh
different
wow.
editors, yeah, like different editors and stuff. And I was like, this is cool. Like it felt kind of cool to be acknowledged for things that you already do,
Yeah.
um, and to making a point to do so. And for the few people in the back, it's not necessarily a handout or anything like that. It's just there's a balancing going on, and they're tipping the scales a little bit in our favor.
Mhm.
Um, and what that means is that the people in power, who have
Mhm.
always been in power, are trying to give us a little bit. So it's positive. And so with that came, the idea that hey, if you have a story, you have something you want to say, you have, get off your chest. And a lot of it has been kind of like what we're doing in a sense that talking about current happenings and past happenings. And on the on the flip side, though, there's a lot of good things that we have to talk about. There's a lot of good
Yeah,
things that are just naturally from us that we could be speaking about during these times as well. And so going to your Instagram and not seeing the protests, not seeing, police, not seeing tear gas, not seeing all
yeah,
that stuff, but actually seeing like, designers and writers and filmmakers
yeah,
and athletes and stuff like that who look like me
yeah.
was pretty freaking awesome.
And that's my point. That's my whole point is like, you can hit hashtags and get, if you need to see protests, if you need to see X, Y, and Z, there are certain people's pages where that's going to be on. It's not going to be on my page unless I'm there. And, or unless it's just something that I'm extremely I feel a certain way about. It's not that I don't have any, like, I love protest. I do. Okay. I'm all about that life. But obviously it's not on my page because I have been saying, I'm going to go into something that has been very important to me for a very long time. And obviously, just a little bit of background on me. I know I've mentioned this before, but I do have my own struggles with anxiety and mental health issues. And so I have a tendency to keep a lot of things inside and to myself. I don't necessarily post a lot and put my stuff out there because I do have to keep my own mental health in check, and so I'm not on social media that much, but also I'm full of ideas. That's the bipolar in me. I'm full of ideas. I have all kinds of crazy things going through my head all day, and things that I really, really wish to see for us as a Black community and also as a child of African immigrants. I've always been talking about how the Black dollar matters and how it's so important for Black people to be able to buy Black. And this has nothing to do with anyone else. Just because I'm saying buy Black or I'm voting for everybody Black or this, that, and the other, it's not an exclusion of anyone, it's an inclusion of us. There's nothing wrong with being able to say that for us as Black people to be able to be like, you know what, I'm going to support Black people. I'm going to, oh, you know what, I found a Black designer, or I found a Black cake maker, I found a Black designer for my wedding dress, I found a company that rents chairs, it's a Black owned company, I'm going to use them. Like, I'm allowed to do that. We're allowed to do that and support our Black community. And that is okay. And that's exactly what I'm doing on my page, because since we are not equal in this country, and I'm putting it out there because it's just true. And I don't want anybody to come at me sideways and say, oh, yeah, you're equal civil rights. Okay, we're cursing here today. Fuck that shit. All right, I'm over it. Fuck that shit. Okay, I will call you out, and I'm a nice person, but I will call you out your name, and I'll call your mama out your name, out her name, okay? Because that's just not true. We're not equal in this country. We haven't been equal in this country since we stepped a foot on this soil. And because of those things, the inequities show that we need to take care of ourselves as a community. Our Black dollars that we make because of our blood, sweat, and tears that we have at any job, we need to put that into our community. I watched Trigger Warning with Killer Mike. I loved when that show came on Netflix, was it? I think it was Netflix.
I
Yeah,
believe it's Netflix. Yeah.
yeah. And it was one of my favorite things because the stuff that he talks about is just so accurate. And we as Black people are the only like community in the United States that can't keep the dollar in our possession, circulation from Black to Black to Black to Black person for more than 6 hours. That's it for us. The Asian community can keep a dollar running in their community for 30 days. That's insane. And it's not like, it's not, I'm not saying it's insane because it's wrong. What I'm saying is we don't have the infrastructure in our own communities to make our dollar work for us, to make our dollar last for us. And we are constantly the community that is underprivileged, and in communities where we are plagued with illnesses and violence and mass incarceration for crimes that we didn't commit, that we were apparently doing, or we're getting murdered by police officers who are supposed to be protecting and helping us. All of those things affect our community, and one of those problems is not being able to hold on to wealth.
I mean
So
that's kind of go and not to cut you off, that kind of goes back to because there's a lot of people who are saying like like for instance, they'll say something along the lines of like, immigrants came over here and they were able to make more money than you. And then I go back and say, well, if you look
Hmm.
at things of like redlining, or you look at things of like Jim Crow laws, and you look at things that people feel, I think when people talk about these things, they hear about them during their, history class, if they're being taught
Hmm.
that it was something that happened during a period of time and then it was over. What
Right.
you don't understand is that this was damaging on a generational level.
Thank you.
And to make it plain, I'll explain the just a little bit here. For instance, when we were freed as slaves, right? Uh, we weren't given anything.
Nope.
We didn't have any land. Some people went back to Africa, some of the lucky people, but a
Hmm.
lot of people who stayed here had to be sharecroppers, or like they had to go back to the plantation, and even though they weren't a slave, they had to work there to try to get some type of money because they
Yeah.
couldn't have their own space. So you think about that, for the people who are like, yeah, you guys were freed, you were no longer after the Civil War, you were no longer slaves, and it's like, but it didn't end there. And then
No.
when we get to the point where we start establishing communities, we start establishing, how they say, pull yourself by your bootstraps, whatever, the foolishness.
We didn't have no boots. How we gonna pull us up
Facts,
bootstraps? We ain't got no boots.
facts. So we had to look at then like the segregation and where people where Killer Mike would say in this sense segregation wasn't necessarily a problem because we had our own. It was a problem because we our own wasn't equal to what everyone else had. And
Right.
so not being able to get, I mean, we see it now today on a different type of scale, but like not being able to go to certain schools, not being able to sit in certain places on the bus, not be able to do whatever. You can't even hold certain jobs. Then we
Right.
fast forward a little bit to when segregation is that pushed down. Even then, we had violence.
Hmm.
Going into those white only schools, we were met with violence. We were met
Hmm.
with people, basically with terror.
Right.
Um, Fast forwarding a little bit more, where we had, we eventually got like, I think we have like one black senator at the time or something like that, and how the KKK was like, basically they were on the Democratic side and they wanted to. I forget what town it was, but they wanted to take over, and they didn't want certain people elected, certain people to abolish certain rules or whatever, and so they terrorized the place. They dragged people out of their homes and hung them, and or hanged them. Sorry, and eventually it flip flopped. Um, which is why we have the Republicans that we have now, because a lot of those Democrats went over to the other side because they couldn't get their way, and the KKK eventually bullied people enough and caused so much chaos that they kind of relented. I forget what town it was. I'll look it up in a sec, but they
Right.
basically relented, and they had to call the National Guard. They had to do all this other stuff to kind of to help them out because the KKK was terrorizing everyone. So we go
Right.
a little bit forward. We go forward now. We have redlining. And I'm actually skipping some stuff from Jim Crow and everything, but we had
Right.
redlining where and I'm doing this quickly because we don't have much time, but
Right.
uh, we had people who were in like World War II or whatever, black
Right.
people. They would come home and then they can't get homes that they were promised like their white counterparts,
Exactly.
and because there was all these rules, and it wasn't like there wasn't a law that was like black people, like like no black people. It wasn't like that because that
Hmm.
would be too easy to shut down, right? And so what
Exactly.
they would do is they would have a prerequisite that would target certain individuals, and those individuals happen to be black. For instance, when we got the chance to vote, when we first got a chance to vote, it wasn't like it is now. Like you had to be able to read. That was one of the rules. The
You had
thing
to
is,
own
though,
land.
that too. But the thing is, with the reading thing, was that if you were able to read, that means you were reading when it was illegal,
Exactly.
which means you have broken the law. So like,
Exactly.
it was always stuff. And so like, we kind of see that nowadays as well, where someone running from an office will who also happens to be a part of a certain faculty or a certain group that controls where the voting places are, shut down the that voting place because of there's a potential for fraud or whatever, and they will move it someplace else. Now the people in that area have to drive more than an hour to get to this voting place. Most of them can't do that because that means they have to take off from work,
Exactly.
and they have to it's hard to get people to vote to begin with.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we look at like, okay, so why would that person do that, right? You say like, okay, it's people were things were bad things were happening, but in a sense, look at the community that they took the voting that actually that voting place out of. It was
Right.
predominantly black,
Right.
and this person had to happen to be a Republican, and black people weren't voting for Republicans; they were voting Democrat. So if I take the place, the means of actually voting out of your community and put it
Mhm.
somewhere else where it's more difficult for you to get there because maybe you don't even own a car, depending on how poor you are, you have to drive, you have to, catch the bus places. The buses don't go that far out, so you have to get a ride, you have to take off of work. I don't know why voting day isn't a freaking holiday.
Exactly.
um, but like I mean I can guess why. And so a lot of people didn't vote, and then that Republican ended up winning, and it's like it's ongoing, it's ongoing. And so like when people say like, you know what, that was years ago and no one should feel guilty anymore and all this other BS, it's like, no fam, like these things trickle down through generations. If your
Exactly.
grandparents didn't have any type of wealth, any type of land to give you, your parents started out in a rougher place than
Right.
their white counterparts, and then so on and so on. And like even getting to the point now where a lot of my family, like I have a house now.
Yeah.
And that was like a big thing for me, like, having a house, getting a house for our kids before we were at a certain age, we were able to do that. But looking
Hmm.
back on my parents, like they were able to do it because of the military. Like my dad was in the military.
Hmm.
But even before that, it was like, yo, like it doesn't, I don't have to go far back. There's people that are still
Right.
alive in my family that face some of these things. So
Yeah.
like it's not a one and done type of thing. Like I
Nope.
don't understand. And then there's also like all the systemic things where like how the police came to be and how, yeah, there's a lot. And
A
so
lot.
if you
It
feel
really is.
like this should be done like a one and done thing, you have to really educate yourself and you know shut the fuck up for like five
Yeah.
minutes.
Shut the fuck up. Yeah.
Like for
And
5 minutes, so people can
please.
explain. Like I went really quick. I didn't have the names and stuff. Like if I had time to tell you, we only have so long. If I had a time to tell you and I could break it down, I could give you the names, I can give you the
Hmm.
places, I can give you the body count, I can give you
Yeah.
all those things. It doesn't take very long to look it up. It's just the
No.
fact that we're trying to move on. But my point of saying all that was that it isn't over.
No.
There's things that have happened years ago that are still affecting people now, and that's not counting the things that are happening currently.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we talk about the protests and things of that nature, and how someone had to die for everybody to finally kind of wake up,
Right.
seemingly wake up. I don't know how woke some people are, but
They're
seemingly wake up.
they're sleeple because they're gonna fall asleep. And this is why I'm saying this. This is why I'm tired. This is why I get angry and then I have to calm myself down because I'm like, I am so happy that the world is involved. Like everybody is up in arms. But please tell me this ain't one of them trends because every time, sorry in advance, but every time this happens, we have a group of people who love to say, I'm with you, I stand with you, this, that, and the other, da 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 da. Like this is wrong, you're right. I finally see it now, X, Y, and Z. And 4 months go by and they're back to doing their normal lives. That's what I'm saying. I'm black every day. I am black every day. This is always going to be my life. I'm always going to have to deal with this. So until I see you standing by me every day, doing something for our community until the oppression ends, I'm not with it. And I don't have the energy to spend on other individuals who are treating this like a trend. I'm not about it. I'm not about these Instagram hoes, because that's what I'm calling them. But these Instagram hoes who are gonna run around the city after it's been looted and pretend like they're helping. There's basically that video online where the girl, there's a guy actually trying to board a window. She goes up to him and she's like, "Can I please?" He gives her the drill so that she can pretend like she's boarding up a window, and like her boyfriend is videoing it so
I
they can put it
saw
on
that.
Instagram. Yeah,
I
and it's
saw
like,
that.
are you guys are you think this is a trend? Just like every summer you can go get a tan or something. Like this is not a trend. This is our life. And until something changes, until the system that was created to make Black people lesser than, and nobody can say that that system didn't happen. I had a conversation with a friend last night and I had to explain it in that manner. I'm like, this country was built on a system that never intended to look at us as equals. So being freed as a slave did not all of a sudden make Black people equal. Like you said, there were laws that didn't even allow us to vote because of the loopholes. Yeah,
Right.
sure, you can vote. Well, you can't because you're a Black woman, so you can't vote. But he's a
Yep.
Black man, he can vote. And then he gets there and they're like, oh, sir, can you read? Well, yes, I can read. Oh, can you go over to that line? And what? And there's the police waiting for him. Sir, you've broken the law. We're taking you away. Wait, I thought I was voting. Yeah, until you told us the truth.
Right.
That's our point. It was never created. We can give more examples of why it was never created to make us equal. Everybody loves to tout Thomas Jefferson as one of the founding fathers and like he was a good man and he wrote, you know, all men are created equal. Yeah, did you read the sentence after that though? That says that Black people don't count?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, we're not making this stuff up. And it's so unfair every time we have that conversation with friends. And we can say this, it's not limited to people who are not Black. Like, we have Black people who want to act ignorant too and need to be educated too. But that's on
Yeah.
a different
Candace
level.
Owens. Oh my gosh.
She's not a human, and I hate her, and I don't want to talk about her.
What I will say to that, and I'll leave it alone. There's this thing that they're doing where George Floyd, passing, was murdered, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea is like there's this thing that people do that I don't understand, where they take information that's not needed or not relative to what we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about, and then they put it on top, and then they do this thing where like, I'm just saying this, like why? And she was like, his background, into, I guess, having a criminal background. I'm not going to go into it because it doesn't matter. It
No,
honestly doesn't. I tweeted when I, they were showing the video around. I tweeted that I don't care if he had a rocket launcher in his car. I
exactly.
don't care if he had a million guns. I don't care if he was a kingpin, the leader of every blood in the United States.
Okay,
Once he's
they make
subdued,
good soda, by the way.
once he's subdued, once he is handcuffed, once he's
Mm-hmm.
on the ground, and
Mm-hmm.
there's like, I don't know, you and three other cops around him with guns, he is no longer a threat. There
Nope.
was no need for you, and he was so much like not a threat to them that the officer who had his knee on his neck had his hand in his pocket.
Yeah.
I don't know if like I don't, maybe that's how they do it there, but like with me, if I feel like I'm being threatened, I'm gonna do two things. One, I'm going to flee, or I'm gonna put my hands up. I'm not gonna put my
Mm-hmm.
hands in my pocket.
My
Like,
pocket.
and
Like a
by hands,
choke.
I mean exactly. I'm gonna fight. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna put my hands in my pocket and chill and smile for the camera while people are pleading with you to let him up. I don't
Yeah.
care about his past.
No.
I 100. I promise you, even if he was a serial killer, I don't care.
Right.
Why? Because we supposed to have some type of law and order. We supposed to
Mm-hmm.
arrest the criminals. Then they go to sorry, they go to
Mm-hmm.
trial. It's
Right.
not Judge Dredd out here. Like
Right.
so if you believe in all the things that you say you believe in, then you would feel
Mm-hmm.
a way regard. You wouldn't say, because she was like, he's not a martyr. He was a bad guy, and but I hope his family gets justice. No, shut up, shut
No.
up,
Yeah,
shut
shut up.
up. You're doing the thing that kids do when they
Yeah.
get caught doing something they shouldn't. They'll be like, well, Johnny did this, or such and such did that, or well, we're blah blah blah. It's like, no, take accountability for what you are doing.
Yeah.
Stop adding extra information that is not relative to what is happening right
Right.
now. If he was
Mm-hmm.
in court and they were bringing up, he had guns in the vehicle and he used to have guns all the time, he sells guns, maybe then we could say, oh, that's relative information. He has a
Mm-hmm.
history of guns. That has nothing to do with him being killed
Exactly.
in front of everyone on camera. That has
On
nothing to
camera.
do with it. Stop bringing up information that has nothing to do with the case.
Right.
Nothing.
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 And the biggest, the real, the only case, the only thing that there is now is the fact that this police officer acted as a bad officer, and then he acted as the judge and jury, and then the executioner. You
Exactly.
don't get that. Your job, your literal job, is to protect and serve in that instance. That's it. And he was not a threat. Your job is to arrest the man, put him in the car, take him to the police station, tell him why you got him, and then you go about your business. Go back to being a beat cop, you dick. Like, take
Yes.
a beat. All right? And stop with this I'm gonna go kill me a black dude thing today. Like, I'm over this. And I think it's really important. Obviously, we're kind of just getting out our emotions, and we're kind of just like talking and this, that, and the other, and saying things. But there's so many things to talk about. There's so many levels, because we've talked about, like, just in general, if you look on the news or you look on the internet and everything, about just, racism as a system, and how the police have the ability, because they do in these situations. The police have weapons when other people don't. The police are in they're a figure of authority, and they're trained in a certain way. And to be honest with you, they're trained in a manner that is not to de-escalate. They're trained in a us versus them type thing. Like, they pull out their guns as soon as they get scared. It's not just about, you're trained to unholster your gun in a certain situation. Well, that certain situation is fear for your life. The situation is not, take out your gun when you realize the perp has a weapon. They're taking out their guns before they identify a perp. So the police officers, in a general sense, are trained in a way in which it is very authoritative. It's very
I don't think they're trained. I just think they're gun happy.
They are definitely gun happy.
They're just bullies. Like, there's no training. Like, yeah, man. You can't be.
Some countries, their cops don't have guns. They don't have guns because they also don't think that they need guns. I mean, in some societies, people don't have guns in a general sense, like Japan. In a general, it's not a big thing for people to own guns as personal individual citizens, and it's not because they don't have the right. They do have the right to own guns. It's just very difficult. You have to go through so much. The red tape is so much to get a gun that you just don't want one.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, well, I'm not going to go through that. No. What's the point? Because honestly, you have to ask yourself the point of having it. Because I know in America, we're allowed to. It was written into our Constitution a long time ago. It's normal. People have guns because of militia. It was like, oh, by the way, we just fought off the redcoats. We should be able to have guns just in case they try to come back. And then it was like, okay, well, we're our own country now. Screw the redcoats. But we have black people that we pissed off. And they're also really strong because we bred them that way, so that they could build stuff and we could kind of just like sit back. And they're kind of free, and they might try to kill us for all the things that we did to them over the last I don't know how many years. And I need to protect my plantation and my children's legacy, because I want this plantation to like still be around when I'm dead. And yeah, those types of things.
It's not even like being gigantic cowards. I totally understand that. I mean, it took like what, multiple people and 2 pickup trucks to try to apprehend one black person with no gun.
With no gun.
You had shotguns, fam. Like, how afraid are you? Like, you are so afraid from having like any type of confrontation that you just have to shoot someone. Like, I've never been that, and like I've had, like police officers pull guns on me. I've had, I've had other people pull guns on me. I've never been so afraid that having a weapon, having backup, you know what I'm saying, that you're still that afraid. Yeah. Like, how?
Seriously, how? Let's talk about it. How?
What happened to you? Like,
for real. What the hell happened to you? Seriously, you tell us, because I still want to know what the dude who shot Philando Castile, because that still hurts, because I watched that video through and through. I watched every video that they possibly had on Philando Castile. I don't even know what allowed me to do that, because I cannot watch George Floyd get murdered. And anybody who's close to me like knows that I did not watch the video, because I can't. Like, and I need to protect my emotional space. I know that he was murdered. I know he's dead. I know those things, and so I can't put myself through watching him be murdered like that. I'm traumatized. I am already traumatized enough, but that's not stopping me from doing what I can in my own power. And I'm always doing what I can in my own power to bring this to light. to talk about these types of things or to use whatever. I don't have a big platform. I'm not famous. Nobody knows me, this, that, and the other. But I always use whatever I have to be able to do what I know is best for us as a people. And not just us as Black people, but everybody. But I'm saying that I know this. I don't need to watch the video to know that this cop murdered him. But I watched the cop murder Philando Castile, and I still say to this day, what would make you do what you did? Like what? And he came up with all kinds of reasons. That cop said, well, I smelled marijuana and I was like, there was a baby in the back and I just couldn't believe, like I couldn't understand how if somebody was going to smoke marijuana in the car while the child was in there that they could be capable of anything. Dude, did that really just come out of your mouth?
He was like, and all I don't like people who are going to shoot you usually don't tell you that they have a weapon. Like he said, I have a weapon here.
Yes.
I
told you. He said he had a license for it.
Yeah.
How were you afraid for your life? You were afraid because a Black man said he had a gun, and that's all you needed. That's all that dude needed. And it's part of a conversation because we are trying to talk about this type of oppression in the United States of America, that it's not just coming from white people. And as I know right now, we've got a lot of white sensitive people out there who are like, oh, this wasn't me. I didn't do anything. I'm not racist. I'm not this. I'm not that. This may have been something that my grandfather's grandfather was a part of. It's not me. And it's like, first of all, you're benefiting from the system that your grandfather's 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 granduncle created. So that's A. All right. If you're benefiting from the racist system, then you need to take accountability. And that's all we're really asking for from you. But when we talk about, this person was killed and it wasn't a white cop, like they were Asian or they were Hispanic or whatever, we are also talking about racism in general. It doesn't have to just come from white people. If the police are a racist institution, because we already know they are, the police are a racist institution. They were invented to catch slaves. That's what they are. And so everything that was passed down from the creation of our police has a outline in racism. And so everybody who dons that badge and wears that uniform, you're not a racist, but you are working in a system that was created in racism. And therefore, it's your job as a person in a uniform with a badge and a gun to realize or to try to filter and be like, hey, these types of rules are bad for people. And you don't have to just be white to do things that are racist. It's not limited. So you have the other officer who's Asian. You have the other officer who's white as well. And I don't know what the other guy is. And then you had in the Philando Castile, he was Hispanic, was he?
I think so.
But the guy, I think it was a guy and his girlfriend who were walking down the stairs in their apartment. They took the stairwell or the fire escape, something like that.
Yeah. It was a Asian cop.
Asian cop. Mm-hmm. And it's like, we're not saying we're not going to, I mean, there are honestly people who are racist who love becoming cops because then they can use their racist anger to take that out on people. And they enjoy that. Because weeding out cops, when the weeding, I don't know, the academy process is really to figure out who's an asthmatic and who isn't, who can run 10 laps and who can't, who can jump and who can't, and this,
a lot of those cops failed. They failed that test.
Yes, they sure did.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's excuse me. Beyond, the idea of it's hard to deal with police. It's hard to, and for people to kind of understand what's happening. Because I'm seeing, even just looking on Twitter, how people, I'm fighting the urge to be like, you are Black for for 10 seconds. There was, journalists that are getting, roughed up. There are people who, there was a guy in Richmond, part of the press, who was dropping people off and trying to get home, but it was past the curfew,
Yeah.
and he was pulled out of his vehicle. He was taken someplace. He wasn't told why he was taken there, and he was held for like however many hours. And uh, you know, when he was finally released, like no one read him his rights or anything, and it was uh, you know, very traumatic experience, and I feel for him. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I want to be like, hey, that's us, bro. Like
Yeah.
you've experienced a little bit of it, and it's like they're just now seeing. But even with that, it's like you don't get it. And because of that, it makes it difficult to kind of talk with people to try to explain because it gets exhausting having to like no, the cops are really that bad. No, the cops really do these things that we're saying.
Yeah.
And now that we're seeing it on a global scale, I mean, from across the United States of cops just going way left. Like there was a journalist who was shot in the face with a what do you call it?
Rubber bullet.
Yeah, rubber bullets, and she lost her eye.
Oh.
And it wasn't she was like I'm press or whatever. They stopped, like she had a camera, microphone, like you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Like obviously she wasn't like rioting. She's
Yeah.
away from all the people who are protesting. She's on the side, and the person comes and aims at her and shoots her. And another person, a Vice journalist,
Mhm.
is grabbed and put on the ground. He's like, I'm Vice, I'm press. They're like, I don't care. Like they say this on
Yeah.
camera. They didn't know he was recording. And while he's laying on the ground, his hands are up, and one hand has his Vice pass, the other
Mhm.
hand is just open. He's just laying there for however long, and then a police officer walks up and maces him. He's not doing
He's not
anything.
doing anything.
And I want to be like, you were black for 5 seconds, bro.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
with the person who we were talking about off air, talking about like the person who was like, I tried to be there, I tried to help, and
Right.
she said something really dumb, and then she got called out for it, and she started crying, and how she wants people to sympathize. Outside of this being a typical tactic that abusers use, it's
Yeah.
also the fact that you don't know what it feels like. So it's hard to feel sympathy for you when you're finally being clued in on something that's been happening for years,
Yeah.
when you're still tone deaf, you aren't doing any reading, you aren't
Mhm.
listening to the people who are talking to you, and
Mhm.
then on top of that, you have nerve to cry about something.
Yeah.
Like here's something that just like newsflash. My son turned 1 not too long ago,
Yes, he
right?
did.
Awesome day. For me, it was like, yo, this is awesome. My son is turning 1.
Yes.
And at the same time, it was traumatic. It was
Yeah.
disheartening because my son is getting older, which means eventually I'm gonna have to talk to him about all this bullshit.
Yeah.
So then it's like having this weird juxtaposition, like just being happy and sad all at the same time.
Yeah.
You don't understand.
Right.
Stop being upset when people are trying to correct you. Stop
Exactly.
being upset when we're just trying to talk to you and show you. Stop waiting until someone dies before you start listening. You can't say
Yeah.
you have a black friend if you don't. Look, let me chill.
Sam, I got you. Oh, what? But I want people to hear that though. To hear that passion and that anger in your voice is what we're feeling. And the thing is, we need that space because we're the ones who we keep calming it down. Like we're like, you know what? Can't like we're at the end of the day we're always placating. Like we're always like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna bring it down. I'm gonna bring it down. We used to have that phrase, bring it down. You don't want to scare the white people. Like
Right.
for real, that's a real thing. That's a real thing. Like I'm sitting here right now, everybody I know, white, black, or whatever, you can listen to me saying this right now, and that is a real thing that I have known as a phrase since I was young.
Yeah.
And I remember it being said more and more in college because when I left Springfield, which mind you was a mixing bowl, and I went to school in Richmond, um, it was a lot different in Richmond at
Yeah.
once, murder capital. But like I get down there and that was a thing. It's like you need to act a certain way. You don't want to scare the white people. You don't want any reason for the police to come over here. You don't want any reason for you don't want, like let's stay in our lane. Let's stay in our this is how big our blackness can be because we're going to make other people uncomfortable. And you want to know what? That's what this is about right now. We're making people uncomfortable because you need to see our discomfort. We need to make you uncomfortable. That's what protesting is all about. And that's why I am tired over and over again of people trying to tell us how to protest. You cannot tell anyone how to protest. That is the whole idea of a protest. If protests were all like, okay, hi, 1-800-protest line. Hi, I'd like to protest racism. Can I get a permit? And I'm going to need this street blocked off and this street blocked off. And I'm going to need balloons and unicorns and popsicles. And we're going to be on here on this day at this time. And I'm calling you 2.5 weeks in advance so you have time to prepare. Right. So everybody can know, oh, please avoid XYZ street, so that they can demonstrate their peaceful protest by marching 1 mile from this location to this location, and it'll be blocked off, and it won't inconvenience anybody one bit because they told us in advance. Fuck that shit.
You're not gonna see it. You're not gonna see it. Like it's. You want that so you can avoid it. You don't want them to protest properly so you can actually observe, listen, and then change some stuff. You want to do it so you can. I remember, I think it was Fox. I can't remember who it was, but like when there was a protest a few years ago, and they were like, I couldn't get to Macy's to shop for Christmas. That's what you cared about.
Yeah.
You didn't care about what they were protesting about.
Your capitalism is more important than our bodies. And they have proved that over and over again. Oh my God, the looting. Okay, yeah, so the Chanel bag is more important than Floyd's life, right? It's more important. That's what we trying to let you guys know, because bang shit up, burn shit up, whatever. I don't care. We're trying to get it has nothing to do. It's not even if the protesters, because we've been saying this forever, that agitators always show up. This is opportunistic. Anytime something bad happens, agitators will show up in force and they will do things. They will be like, oh, yeah. They did that with Freddie Gray. They did that with Alton Sterling. Like agitators will always show up, and they're not part of just the regular protesters. Now, we can't necessarily really separate. We don't really know who was who in this, that, and the other. But again, that doesn't matter, because the whole point of watching a city burn is to get everybody's attention. That's the whole point. The whole point is to make you uncomfortable. And it's like, look, bash windows, this, that, and the other, whatever, burn, baby, burn. Because if I can't be comfortable in my own skin where I live, then you can't be comfortable either. That is the whole point of no justice, no peace. If you're not going to give Black people justice, then you are not going to get peace. And understand that in every sense of the word. By any means necessary. We want what we want. Until our demands are met, this is what your life is going to be like. If you want to think that that's holding you guys for ransom, then fine, because the ransom is our freedom. That's all you have to give us. And it's not even something that you should have to give us. It's our right.
Right.
As long as you are free, we're supposed to be free too. But the system was not created for us to be free. The system was created so that the people who created the system could always be on top. And we have gone so many years down the line that the people benefiting from the system don't even realize that they are part of the system. It's the Matrix all over again.
I don't think there's this whole idea of like giving the benefit of the doubt. I think it's either willful ignorance or you just don't care at this point.
Yeah, it's both. Yeah, it's both. It's totally both, because it's 2020, y'all. It's 2020. It's not new. Okay, this is not new. George Floyd is not the first person to be murdered at the hands of police. It's not new, and that's why we're so fed up, because it keeps happening. How many years ago was it? It was Mike Brown. What was that, 2014? When the girl stood up with that sign, the first time I ever seen a sign like that said, "I'm tired of protesting this shit."
Yeah.
We're tired. And so to sit here, like, to see all these people come out, and I'm like, I'm really happy that you guys are coming out, that this is a thing to you, because it's the whole effing world at this point. All 50 states and all of our territories and every country everywhere else. I mean, we talking about France, we talking about England, we talking about Ghana. Okay, there are protests all over. New Zealand is getting down for us right now. Like, but it can't stop there. It can't just be, okay, we're going to protest and block off some streets and annoy some people, and then also take these photo ops with cops, which I'm just not about. And I don't hate cops, okay? Like, oh, I hate saying it like that, but I'm being serious. Like, it's not just cops, but the problem is you're going and being like, I'm going to hug these cops and show that not all cops are bad. And we have this, we're talking about, look, if you're going to be okay with macing people, we're calling you guys a collective right now because you're the one with the weapons. The protesters are standing out there with water bottles, all right, and their backpacks with snacks in them because they know they're going to be walking for hours. They got a change of shoes in there if they need to, maybe bandages because X, Y, and Z, and gallons of milk because they know y'all about to do some stupid stuff with some tear gas and pepper spray and stuff. But I'm like, y'all are in full on riot gear like this was Jinro, the Wolf Brigade. Everybody needs to watch that, by the way, because that's where we're going. We're going in two directions if somebody doesn't stop the crazy person in the White House. We are going towards Jinro, the Wolf Brigade, so everybody should watch that. If you don't like watching cartoons, if you don't like watching anime, which you shouldn't be listening to this if you don't, then you can watch the Korean version live action of the movie, which honestly isn't doesn't tell the story the same way the anime does, but it's fine. It's good enough, and it's got some really cool Jason Bourne-esque moves in it. So you can watch that and get a little bit more understanding of like a police state and military state that's entertaining. You can watch The Handmaid's Tale, which starts off in the same idea, you know, and I mean, especially with
I mean, Just Mercy, Warner Brothers is actually allowing people to rent,
right.
Just Mercy, which is based on the life of civil rights attorney Brian Stevenson,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
starring Jamie Foxx and his name fell out of my head,
Uh,
uh,
my baby Black
Killmonger.
Panther. Yeah, my baby Black Panther, my baby Killmonger,
Yeah, there you go. uh,
my
and
Michael B. Jordan. I'm like
there
my
you
Michael,
go.
my baby,
Yes, he's in it too, and
my baby.
so yeah, Just Mercy, definitely a good film to check out. There, you can see it for free right now.
Yeah,
Um, Warner Brothers is doing that,
yeah,
and that's going to So I kind of at this point I wanted to kind of point out the fake wokeness
yes.
and kind of
Totally.
piggybacking off what you were saying about this can't stop. So there's a lot of like Sony saying that they're not going to air stuff, and then right after that I think it was Ubisoft, and then people like it just kind of it was like a domino effect, right? Like a bunch of other companies started doing, even Nintendo was like, we're going to chill for a little bit because of what's
Mhm.
going on, right?
Yeah.
And a part of me wants to be like, yeah, all right, and another part wants to be like, so this is something to kind of give you like we're on the right side of history. Like, yeah, we're the good guys, and then we'll eventually sell you something. Like, this is what we're doing. We don't really care. We just kind of want to, do this so then we can eventually sell you something. And I feel a way. I feel a way about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what's interesting, I'm not gonna like point out the one because we don't know just yet. We don't know
Yeah.
how changes are going to be made, internally and be shown externally. What I do know is that Kotaku, they actually contacted a lot of these companies and asked them. So okay, so we saw, your posts, your, IG, whatever the case may be. What are some of your plans for change? How are you going to help? What are you doing to, follow up basically? And none of them had a comment.
Hmm.
And it was hilarious and but not shocking at all, right? So then I started seeing websites, and this is when I got into my block. Like I'm blocking all you people.
Yeah.
Uh, but one of the websites that I frequent, IGN, was saying how they didn't post anything on their site for Blackout Tuesday at all, and they were saying that we're gonna use this time to uplift Black voices, right? So
Right.
I've been a fan of their movements for a while now. They've gotten really diverse with their hiring process. It's not just because at one point it was just white guys,
Yeah, it was.
basically
Yeah.
running the show. But now we actually have women in editorial positions. Hot, I believe the games editor is a woman. so stuff like that. The TV editor is black. Like they've been mixing it up, right? So I've been liking what they've been doing for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then also there was a huge move that they did during Black History Month last year that was really great that I was a part of. So I was like, all right, let's see what you
Mm-hmm.
got, IGN. Let's see what
Yeah.
you got. And so what they did was the following day they actually had a thread on Twitter where they were like, this is what we've been doing since we made that post. And then each thread or part of the thread, they had one of their editors, and it basically said what they did. So one editor
Mm-hmm.
was like, I donated to the I think it was the bail fund for the people who were protesting who got arrested,
Gotcha.
and
Yeah.
or for them to get a lawyer. They were donating to that. Others, they were hiring or looking for Black voices to write. One of the editors who followed me recently was, I messaged her like, okay, so, like, what are you looking for, this type of thing. And she kind of was like, we want features from people, specifically people of color, and et cetera, et cetera. And so, like, they were doing some really cool stuff. And I was like, you know what? This is like the least of. This
Mm-hmm.
didn't this
Yeah.
didn't take like they didn't move a mountain. But at the
Right.
same time, to have majority like a ton of your people in your organization or your site do some cool things is like, all right, like you're showing me that you're trying. And because at one point it's like you have all this money, you have all this time, you have all this whatever resources, access, you could be doing more. Like I don't want to go to that end because
Yeah.
you have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so with that though, they kind of went they were doing even more, and it wasn't a big deal in a sense of like time, but it was like we have the access, we have the resources, we can do this. Why
Mm-hmm.
not?
Yeah.
And they've been doing it like, and since then, one of them that I follow, she was getting together with other writers and basically giving out tips and stuff in terms of like how to pitch a story, how to get your resume in order so you can actually um, submit it when they start asking for because like I said, they're trying to boost up Black voices, so they're trying to hire and get freelancers and all this other stuff. This is a time that you could actually kind of capitalize a little bit. So they're trying to help you out. And I thought that was really dope. So then
Yeah.
on the flip side, when I see a site talking about the PlayStation 5 and how
Yeah.
they're bummed that they couldn't see it, I'm
Mm-mm.
like, yo, like,
Mm.
really,
No.
my dude? My point is you could have been fake right now and
Uh-huh.
still saved face.
But no. You got people who don't want to. They want to show their blatant disrespect. Drew Brees, f him. Okay. Oh,
And
yeah.
NFL
I
and
still don't.
NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. I still don't. I don't
Did you
agree with
see what they
anybody.
posted? They on Twitter they were saying like we're with the Black Lives Matter and all this other stuff, and I'm like I legit tweeted to them. I was like, no, apologize to Kaepernick.
Thanks.
Stop acting like you care. Go apologize to that man, and
Yeah.
then fix your infrastructure. Fix how you're
Exactly.
treating people and how you look at us as only athletes. We're not even
Mhm.
human to you. We're just like walking dollar signs. We
Totally.
don't even get paid the most when it comes to the NFL is one of the highest grossing sports like I don't know, like machines out there.
Yeah.
Like they make
Yeah.
more money than baseball
Hmm.
collectively, and not even just even like for instance the Dallas Cowboys. Uh, that
Yeah.
that team makes more
Then
than
more.
like almost
Yeah.
whole
They do.
sports. Like it's crazy, and so but we don't even get paid like talking about. Like
Nope.
there's so much crap there that I don't want to
Mhm.
hear the NFL talking about anything that has to do with black people until they fix their stuff and
Exactly.
apologize to Cap.
Apologize to him. Pay him all the money he needs. I mean, it's not even need, but pay him. Pay him. Just like when they were like, oh, Kaepernick might file or whatever. Like, yes, everything that he needed to file, discrimination, all kinds of stuff. Pay him, and you're not paying him to shut up. He's going to be able to talk about this for the rest of his life. But you need to apologize to that man. Apologize. Sitting there having half your play, not even half your plays, but a bunch of the players that we know that are racist as fuck, sitting there clapping when the president said sons of bitches and this, that, and the other. Fuck all of you. You're all racist.
Yes.
And you're never not going to be racist, and we know that, and that's why I don't fucks with you. I don't.
Right.
We gives none. Okay, you are not here for us. You never have been here for us. You want us as your workhorses, and we're not about that life anymore. So when I'm sorry. I'm really irritated. I'm irritated as hell because you can get any other black player for doing something. Remember the guys who the brothers who are Muslim
Yeah.
and took off from the NFL so they could do Hajj, and and the one slid in when he made that catch. He slid into the end zone and made the touchdown, but he got fined because he slid because they were like, oh, that's prayer or whatever it was, that because sliding in on your knees and bowing to Allah is clearly a violation of the NFL. But what's his face? Pretty boy bowl cut. Oh yeah, so he can deflate the balls, okay, and still be the quarterback and still play and still do all kinds. Like, come on. You're being racist in front of our effing eyes, and we know it. And when we call it out, we're punished for that. That's called a racist system. So any white person who is sitting here right now, or anybody who isn't black and who is sitting here, or anybody who is black and is sitting here listening to this and being like, oh, well, that's that person. No, it's the system. The system is racist. It has been from Jump Street, and it benefits certain people. And all the people that it benefits who aren't calling the shit out are racist too.
It's not
And
even, they can't even say that. They can't even say that it's just this one person because if it was just this one person, that person will be put in jail, they will be fired, they'll be fined, they'll be do all those things. That doesn't happen. They
nope,
are allowed to get away with it because of the system. You can't
yeah,
say it's one person. If
nope,
if they go free all the time, whenever those
yep,
one person show up, nothing happens to them,
hmm,
then yes, it's the system.
right. And we're tired. We've had it, and we know what to expect because we're black. We know what to expect. It's like we know the disappointment. We know what happens to us in this world, and that's why when something so egregious, we're like, "Can you hear us now?" Basically, people are like, "Do you see now?" I hate that. It's like it's. There's so many examples that I can use, but I'm just gonna put it like this. We're out here saying to everybody who doesn't believe it when we call racism, but we're saying, do you see it now? Because the man stuck his knee in George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes. Do you see it now? Do you see it now? Do you see it now? And it's so angering because the fact that we even have to do that at all, because it makes me even more mad because now I see all of you standing with us and being like, oh, we stand together with the black community. And I'm like, but you didn't stand before. You didn't say when Tamir Rice was gunned down, a 12-year-old playing with a toy in a park, a child was murdered by a cop who had the nerve to say, "Oh, well, he looked bigger." Uh, uh, what? What?
You
So
didn't even give chance to you hopped out of the vehicle and fired within seconds.
exactly. So you're gonna sit there. We're calling racist. We've been calling racist for decades, and just now in 2020, just now you want to stand up and be like, yeah, because you know what? We're videotaping the crap now, but you didn't believe it when it was our word, and that's racism. So anybody who want to sit out here and be like, I'm not racist, no, you were born into the racist system. It doesn't just mean that the Ku Klux Klan and lynching black bodies. That's not what it means. It means you being able to live your life and not have any problems and have this great life in X, Y, and Z and not be affected. If the color of your skin doesn't stop you from getting a job, the color of the skin doesn't stop you from walking into a store and being followed, and the color of your skin doesn't nobody's pulling you over because of the color of your skin. I'm just saying, like, all of these things are privileges that you don't have. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, as a black person, I don't have a certain privilege, because you want to know what? As a black person, I can walk into a party full of black people and not get looked at. I mean, well, I will get looked at because I'm fly. But I'm going to walk in and necessarily not get looked at funny. You might be a white person and walk into a black party and people might look at you. Look at Justina Valentine on Wild Out. They always be like, the white girl this, the white girl that. There's some black people on there that got privileges, but that's nothing. That's nothing. That's entertainment. That's a TV show. We're talking about our lives being threatened on a daily basis because of a racist system, and people still want to act like, oh, well, that is, but do you believe us now? It took a man getting a knee in his neck for 9 minutes for you to join up with us, and those are the things that make me angry. Because I'm happy that you're up and you're being like, yeah, I'm with you, man, this is wrong, but you weren't here at the last protest, and you weren't here at the last one, and you weren't here at the last one, and you weren't here at the last one. Why? Why weren't you here before? Why is it this
Yeah.
time?
And it's not like this. This wasn't like, because I hear people saying like, that we finally got the best angle. They it was recorded from like the best spot, and there's nothing you could have hidden in terms of like what was happening before and after. It's like, no, there's been plenty of these videos. Hell, the Rodney King video was pretty explicit
Come
in in
on.
in terms of what happened. Like, this is not, I talked about, a while ago, how A Different World is one of my favorite shows of all time because
So good.
it addresses a lot of these things, but it does it in a realistic way. It doesn't do it. It has jokes, obviously. It's a sitcom, but it does it in a way that's not corny, and that's not a shot at shows like Family Matters or whatever. It's just that there's a little bit more reality there, and
Yeah.
they talked about how during the riots, and the Rodney King verdict, and how everybody went crazy. And I remember him saying, one of the characters saying like, you know this is bad, but hopefully we will learn by this. Hopefully 10 years from now, 20 years from now, this won't be the same thing. Hopefully we will change. Hopefully they even did a joke with Roseanne, but before, I guess, she turned racist. I don't know what was happening,
Yes.
but they did a joke with her in terms of people looting, and how the people looting wasn't all black people. It was some white people who were taking advantage of the chaos, and how um, a joke about like perceptions, where Whitley is afraid and she's hiding in a store because of all the chaos, and Roseanne and her husband walk in, and they're like, it's not even, you have nothing to be afraid of, or not afraid of, but you aren't the problem. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of misconceptions going on, and there's a reason why it's exploding all up in our faces. And so that's years ago,
Yeah, it was years ago.
years ago.
We were kids.
And we saw, like, I swear there's like a hashtag every week about a black person being killed, whether you're in your house playing video games with your nephew and you get shot from a cop who's in your backyard.
Seriously.
You know what I mean? Like, or like, Sandra Bland, who is pulled out of her car and treated such a way because she got a little mouthy. Like, really? Or like the
Exactly.
cop that was at the I guess it was a park. There was a swimming pool, and a
Yeah.
black girl got mouthy with him, and so he like dragged her to the ground. And when people tried to
Hmm.
to fight him off, he pulled his gun.
Well, it's gone
Like,
on kids.
like
Kids.
and like, there's so much in terms of rage, like seeing stuff like that, but it's been
Mhm.
happening over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, I feel like, and on one side, and again, this is kind of like where I'm torn, where it's like on one side it's like, thank you for saying something, thank you for doing something, for trying, for helping, for moving, for raising black voices, for recognizing that there's a problem. And then the other side is like, what took you so damn long?
Yeah.
Like, why do people have to die before something changes? Why can't it be just you know the college student who was roughed up and and his nose was broken by
Yeah.
security, or the people who were in the guys who were in the I think it was a Starbucks or something, and they called the
Yeah.
cops on them because they were having a meeting, and the cops came and arrested them. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. I guess you looked away because they sued and they won money, but the idea is that this continues. This isn't
Yeah.
this people's attitudes, their minds. Like, I saw on Twitter not too long ago where I think it was in Minneapolis. I forget where it was, where police chief was like, "We're going to start training our police officers on how to deal with protesters in a peaceful manner." And someone tweeted like, "You hadn't already trained them? Like, this, you
Seriously.
waited till everything's on fire before you thought to train? Like,
Like,
this
what?
is all history. All of this is old. None of this is new. The only thing that's different is that you have a better angle this time. Like,
Yeah.
visually, you can see it better because the camera's better. That's it. That's it."
That's it. That's literally it. I'm still at a loss, and my biggest concern right now, in this aftermath with people being out there and people protesting and all kinds of stuff, is I'm really concerned because Corona's still a thing. And I'm just really concerned. I am, because this is all about passion. Everybody is out right now because they're passionate And obviously, you know, people who are like, this is the thing to do, so they're going to go do it. And there's two sides to that. One is saying and doing something because you feel like you have to, because there are a lot of people who are like, oh, if I don't say anything at all, then I am bad. But it's where what especially what black people are saying right now to people who are not black, what we're saying to you is that if you're still silent now, then yes, there is something wrong with you. Like you are a racist, or you are part of the oppression because you're not doing anything. But it doesn't mean that you have to like just put up a black tile. That's not what it means. It means that we need to see action from you. Like it's not just about saying I'm like I got this email like and it's titled Uber stands with the black community. So you didn't stand with us before? Like I'm just saying like some people think it's like, oh, I just have to say something. If I don't say something, then it's wrong. And we're like I said, we're not. It's not just about you saying something. It's your actions. It's what you're doing to rectify this problem now that you recognize it is a problem, even though it took you effing forever. And then on the other hand, I like to come from a mental health space because sometimes these things are really, really troubling for the Black community because this is something that we've been going through for so long. The trauma is there, the generational trauma is there, and DNA remembers this kind of stuff. So we already have a lack of mental health care and mental health care access in general for the Black community. And so I know that there are a lot of people out there who are Black who are saying to our Black friends and family members, like, I'm not in a space to do something. Like I'm not in a space to say something, like because it becomes traumatic. It becomes too much. It's like I can't. I'm tired. I can't. And that's something that we have to take care of in our community because we need to basically build like these lines, like these soldier lines, where it's like a phalanx. Is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like this phalanx where if one of us is, or many of us are suffering and cannot fight the good fight. Like we cannot drive traffic. Like we cannot be like, hey, we can't use our voice to be like, hey, I need everybody to do this one thing, or I need everybody to do multiple things. And we don't have it in us anymore. We're tired. We need that person, that part of the phalanx that comes right behind us when we roll. We need to roll backwards so that they can put that shield up. So there's just a couple of kind of, you know, avenues. And when I was talking about Corona, like I'm thinking of people who have been out there protesting like Monday. If you went out and you
Yeah.
protested Monday and Tuesday, then it's like, okay, go home and quarantine for 14 days. And when you have quarantine for however many days and you're fine and you're not sick, then your line, your protester group gets to go back. We need group A through Z, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just because we are, and I think some people think we were, but we are still in a public health crisis. And this isn't helping, and it makes me scared. This is part of when I think of conspiracies, because this is one of those things. I mean, this dude knew he was on camera, and he smiled in the camera multiple times. It felt like a setup.
There was no
It did.
fear. There's no fear.
None. But the thing is, it's the aftermath. If you're a police officer, I mean, obviously he was probably running on some like white hate, racism, adrenaline shot that he takes every morning, and he wakes up and he's ready. It's like waiting by his bedside. He takes that shit and he's like, I'm about to go kill me some black people today, because that's literally what it felt like to all of us. But he went off and he did his thing, and then he's getting cameraed, and he's like, cool. He's like in the zone. He's like, yeah, this is what I like. He's getting his fame, and I like. Does he think he's some sort of like I don't want to use Jesus, but like he's some sort of martyr figure. Like he's gonna kill this black dude, and then he's gonna be on trial for it. Like this is not new. You're not gonna be the first white cop to be arrested for something racist. And so he's on camera, and he knows he's on camera, and he's okay with it. And so what I'm saying is that it just feels like such a setup, because like he murdered this man on camera, smiled about it, never said, oh fuck, oh shit, because the dude who killed Philando Castile was like crying. He was hysterical. He was like, oh shit, oh my god, oh my god. And then his partner was like, okay, it's okay. Like, but that dude was like kind of hysterical. And this dude was just like, I'm killing him. I'm having a good time. I'm putting my hand in my pocket. Is this a good angle? Hey, is this my good side? Like, that's kind of shit that it looked like he was up to. So after that, we're all going to be outraged, not just because you murdered this man, but because you looked like you were having fun doing it. So we're all outraged. We're crashing the streets, like we're outside. We're totally breaking CDC rules, and Corona's still a real thing. I don't want a bunch of
Unfortunately.
people to have Corona all of a sudden. It feels like a setup. Our community was already hit really hard. It,
I mean, it's I can't say whether in that being a setup, but I have seen, where like cops are breaking their own cars and, in uniform and destroying things and then saying, it's looters or whatever. That's definitely, oh, at least on that end, I could be like, yeah, that's definitely a setup. But
yeah,
even not being that, it's gotten so crazy that the idea of personal safety has been thrown out the window.
yeah.
Um, and it's 2020 is going to end on a rough note. It just is.
Well, it's going to
Uh,
end with a nuclear bomb. We're all going to die.
it's well, hopefully not. Hopefully
I'm
not.
not hopeful anymore.
I
How
mean, at
many
the
things I
very
got to be hopeful about?
look
I was
at the
hopeful for
I
a job.
gotta
That ain't happened.
shoot. I need to see Attack on Titan first. We gotta finish that.
You know
I
what?
They showed the trailer.
Yeah, yeah, the world can't end. Remember when the world was supposed to end in 2011 and it was like, no, Harry Potter doesn't come out until, I was like, you can't end world. I need Harry Potter. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of one of those. I don't know, but I'm being honest. Like, I don't want to say I'm not hopeful, but it just feels like everything is just wrong. Everything is wrong with this year. Like, we thought 2016 was bad, not just because we elected a Cheeto, but it was a bad year. We lost David Bowie. We lost Alan Rickman, who's like my favorite actor. We lost a lot of people in 2016, famous people in general, but we lost like our own people, and it was just a rough year. 2016 was a bad year. Felt I felt violated after the election, and whatever, that's neither here nor there now, but we're in 2020 and it's terrible. It's a horrible year. We've lost so many people. We've lost people who are close to us. Like, we've actually lost family, or we've lost friends
Yeah.
to coronavirus. We actually have, or people that we know have gotten sick, and everybody's lost their jobs. I'm one of them who's not working and who can't even qualify for unemployment. It's a horrible thing, and it's just a bad year. It's a bad year. So then I see on Reddit, they're like, hey, some people made some mistakes in the Gregorian calendar a long time ago. So instead of it being 2020, it's actually 2012, which is funny for two reasons. Because 2012 was supposed to be the year that the world ended in the Mayan calendar. So this is probably the end of the world as we know it. And then secondly, I was like, wait a minute. If it's supposed to be 2012, that means that the 2016 election didn't happen, and that Trump Cheeto is occupying the White House illegally. And therefore, we should be able to get him out, and then automatically Obama would be president again because it's still 2012. You see? You see how it works?
I'm not mad at that logic.
See? See?
It's anything to toss him sideways. Like
Yeah.
that's you know, uh,
Yeah.
and that whack photo op that he did. Yeah, I'm not a fan of him at all. Like I just
No, I hate him.
and that's like that's an easy thing to say, I guess, in this sense. But like it's like like why are you you?
Yeah, why
Like
are you like this? Why are you like this? Because all I hope, and I'm saying this, and I hope anybody who was there, I mean, I know people who were there on Monday in DC, like, I'll call them up. One of my friends, I mean, we're actually not friends, but I met her at a performance one night. And she is a singer, and she's an amazing singer. She was actually singing today. I was waiting because I was like, damn, when are these local singers going to get on these microphones and start singing? And that girl got on there and sang today. I was like, what? But anyway, my point is, I know a bunch of people who have been protesting all week long and who were there Monday and who were gassed and who were hit with rubber bullets. And I just want every one of those ones, if you are listening to this, to know that y'all need to get together and see if there's a class action lawsuit that you guys can file against the president or against the Metro Police Department or whatever it is you guys can do. And I'm pretty sure now the FBI and the CIA are listening to us now. But like, this is not okay because their First Amendment rights were infringed upon. They weren't breaking the law. They weren't looting. They weren't doing anything. They were there in Lafayette Park and minding their business, just protesting. They're allowed to do that. And
Right.
it's like, you don't need a permit to protest. Like we were saying earlier, getting a permit to protest it's a convenience thing. It's so that you don't have to worry about, getting arrested for certain, behaviors, and the fact that you are assembling and you're allowed, you have the right to assemble peacefully and all that kind of stuff. But a permit like allows the space to be set for you, allows like blocks, it allows the police escort, those kind of things. And that's really it. Otherwise, you're allowed to congregate. It could have just been a party in Lafayette Park for all we care. Were they being loud? Yeah. I mean, that was the point. If you want to cite people for disturbing the peace or for being loud for a certain decibel, it wasn't even 7 p.m. when the stupid curfew apparently was supposed to be the time. Like, they weren't doing anything. And the fact that at 6:45 they got gassed, and we all saw the video. We
Yeah.
watched the video. They were standing there. And as soon as that one police officer like moved his shield, that's when all hell broke loose. And this is also something that I want to say, because when people organize protests, there are certain things that follow. Like if you are part of Black Lives Matter or whatever, you know how protests are organized. If you go to the Women's March or this, that, and the other, if you're part of groups that protest, they have rules. They're like, hey, everybody, there are these things that we follow, use the buddy system, use certain phones, like, record. There's rules. There was no rules here because it was so passionate. And people are just showing up because they have passion. And so there's no organization. This is one of those things when you saw those cops, when the cops started moving forward, because they didn't move like so quick, but the front line of people cannot turn around. Once you turn around, it's like you're running away. You cannot turn. You have to back up. But I'm not saying that the people in the front row were seasoned protesters. They didn't know. They were being gassed and pelleted. They just, all hell broke loose and they ran. I even saw the footage where the police officer hit a cameraman.
Hit him with his shield.
He hit him with the shield. And I was like, wow. I mean, and this is what we talk about, having a crazy racist ass system. The guy who got hit wasn't black. That's not the point. But the oppressive system, the police are an oppressive system. That's what they are. And at anybody out there at this point is a target. This man was in the cut. He wasn't even like standing in the way recording it. He was to the side, sitting down, in a railing, like a banister, one of those guards things for the building. Like, he was not impeding anything. The police officer just knew he was there because he saw his camera over the I forgot what those things are called. It's not a barrier, but they're basically like the stone railings.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. And I'm sure that the police officer saw his camera, and then that's why he decided to swing his shield on him. And then he grabbed his camera and like punched the man. What kind of nonsense is this? If this isn't rage, for what though? These people didn't do anything. Like, anyway, I'm sorry, I was digressing, but I just feel that laws were broken because.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, they weren't breaking curfew. They weren't violent. And it's their First Amendment right to assemble. And so because that was infringed upon so violently, it wasn't just, hey, everybody move, because the way that they could have done it, instead of like gassing and everything, would have just been to slowly move forward. You slowly move one step if they need to clean the area. But then we found out that they were clearing the area so that Trump could walk over there and take photos. So this isn't okay. You can't just clear the area at like violently. And I just hope that someone legally is organizing so that these people can file a class action. That's what they need to do. And I believe that they have the right to do so. And I believe that it's something that would go to a circuit court, a federal circuit court, not a DC court, because they use Metro Police. So, and they were ordered by the president. So the president used his power to do that. And I believe that that falls under a federal circuit. And hopefully that this, I hope the circuit does its job and it doesn't have to get elevated up to a higher court, because it just is what it is. We're tired, and we've been abused by this president long enough. Outside of the system abusing us, the president is abusing us, and he's abusing everybody. So if you're white and you don't, if you're not black and you don't stand with us under oppression, you need to stand with us now, because your president is about to turn America into Gilead. And again, that is a reference from Handmaid's Tale.
Oh man, it's appropriate though.
It is.
I just, it's tiring, exhausting, um, having to constantly have this be a thing, and the least of what people can do, or least of, just listening, just like, let me just chill and let me just listen to you for a second. Because people are quick to say they have black friends, and they're quick to say they have black employees that they care about and all this other stuff. And
Black
it's like, all right,
too.
yeah, it's like, just listen, and for a second, and really soak in how, I mean, ask yourself, aside from the Candace Owens of the world, how many black people you know that has not experienced racism?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't count any.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my lifetime. So I mean, it's not something that's made up, and
Yeah.
hopefully with the police going bananas, I mean, it's horrible, but at the very least, it's like, you know what? They're not even they're not, they don't care anymore in terms of hiding it.
Yeah.
And so hopefully at the very least you can see like, oh, they're doing some really crummy stuff. Even if you don't see it as racism,
All
at
right.
the very least you could be like, they're doing some really, really
Yeah.
wicked things to
Shitty
people
shit.
just because they're angry or they feel a
Yeah.
way about a protest or whatever the case may be. Um,
Like,
and that's
look,
not cool.
it's not cool. Like, look, remember the white guy who was shot in the hotel like
Yeah,
hallway?
that was all toward like sorts of crappy.
Yeah. And it's like, look, you don't sit in here and look at us as black people and be like, oh well, what about these white people that were killed? Nobody said nothing about them. But you want to know what? Because this is what I'm really tired about. Because I keep seeing this online. I am really tired of this. When you have white people who are going online and saying, well, so and so was white and so was murdered by the cops. How come you guys didn't say anything about him? And it's like, did you protest for him? Because you're white.
And a
That was
lot of
your
us
white
did.
brother. I don't remember. Did you protest? Because I'm sitting here. We're protesting for our fallen black comrades. We're out here doing it. We're out here trying to make a change. But you're going to sit here and get mad at me for protesting for George Floyd. Did you protest for the white person who got killed by the cops? I don't remember a protest for him. I don't remember. So I'm going to think that you didn't. So don't ever come for me when I'm sitting here supporting black people. I'm black. All right? I'm black. And I knew I was up in arms. I was livid when that guy got shot in that hotel. That was all kinds of fucked up. But if you're going to sit there and talk to me and be like, well, where were you? I'm like, where were you? Where were you? Because I don't remember y'all making a protest for him. I don't remember that. I don't. I don't remember y'all organizing against the police and saying this has got to stop. But every time we do this. So don't get angry at me when we're sitting here out here doing it. You need to do it too. And then maybe you wouldn't feel so crazy when we're out here doing it. You would be like, oh, I see you. I'm going to join your protest. You joined mine. We can all do this together. You can be any color and help dismantle a racist system or dismantle an oppressive system. It is not just oppressive just because of race, but it is allowing people who love power and who are trigger happy and who are angry and have issues to have power. And we need to end that. Like, open your eyes, see it, and recognize it and call it out so that we can get it to stop. Don't just sit here and be like, black people are criminals. That's why the cops are killing you. Okay. I heard you, Susie.
No, her name's Karen.
That bitch name was Susie. Exactly. That bitch's name was Susie. Karen was the bitch who decided that she was upset because something didn't go her way.
Oh, I
That's
can't breathe.
Karen.
Okay.
And her nasty ass potato salad. Bitch, don't bring that over here. You was never invited to the cookout anyway. Why you always trying to bring potato salad? Ain't nobody asked you to come. Shit.
I can't breathe.
Always trying me. Gotta be showing.
Oh
Gotta be showing people. Look, showing people my black side. You know how many times I try to show my African side. I can't even bring the African side out because the black side is overtaking everyone. It's out here. I don't have the energy to even pull the Africanism out anymore.
Oh God.
I can't scare people no more with that. I used to get people. I can't even do it. Now it's just all black.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
And
done. I'm done with the Karens.
on that note, we've been going at least like an hour 30, so we're gonna call it on Karen's horrible potato salad. Um,
Raisins.
yes. And yeah, we so yeah, just wanted to vent a little bit this week. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and shoot, probably next week. I don't know. Like things don't seem to be getting better anytime soon. Um, hopefully we'll be in a better mood next week and we could talk about what we were supposed to talk about this week, but you never know because it's 2020. I mean, we had killer hornets, we have police brutality, I'm pretty sure there's going to be hurricane season is going to be hell if it keeps going this way. uh,
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to it. We have the coronavirus. Yeah, 2020 has been all sorts of bananas, so who knows. What I can say though is that you should totally subscribe, hit the little notification bell.
Mm-hmm.
Check out all the stuff that we've been doing. We actually streamed another Nintendo game. We streamed Animal Crossing. Uh, I actually streamed with my friend Ricardo, who also writes for UFG,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a great time just looking at his island. It was extremely chill. We did have some sound issues. I'm using a capture card because the Switch, as opposed to streaming on my computer normally, so we had a little bit of sound issues here and there. But for the most part, the stream is awesome, and we're just playing Animal Crossing, and it's a fun, chill time, and that could be very therapeutic right now. So I would definitely check that out. Had a great time. It's on the YouTube page under UFG Plays. It's the newest video, and we have a bunch of other content up there. I'm not gonna plug everything today because I'm exhausted, not from the cast, but just from life. So definitely
Mm-hmm.
subscribe, follow us.
Please.
It's all in the in the description and whatnot. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna add just on top of that, like basically the stuff that I've been posting is about black dollars. I just want everybody to listen, and if you truly do want to support, like if you are not black and you want to be, an accomplice, like that's what we're calling people now. We're over the ally stuff because allyship wasn't working. Um, I'm saying that the only way to truly, truly, truly help equality become a real thing is that we need to be looked at equally and have the same opportunities. And the only way that happens is money. And so it's one thing to donate to certain causes, like, you can donate to, Black LGBTQIA youth. There are so many things out here. It is Pride Month, everybody. So please remember that. I know that there's a lot going on, but don't forget that it is Pride Month. And we really, really do need to make sure that we're taking care of our Black youth, our Black trans youth, our Black non-gender binary fluid youth. I mean, they are extreme, not just youth, adults too, but the environment is very volatile, and so those things are important. It is important to support black people. Black dollars count, and we have a tendency, like I said earlier, to spend our money elsewhere. So if you truly do want to be an accomplice and help black people and people of color in general gain equality, then you have to invest your money in our ventures. We need to be in the room and at the table and participating on a high level. And it's not just about letting us in the space, it's about we would have had our own space if it hadn't been damaged. We had our own things and they were burned. And what we're trying to say is support us now. That's what we're asking for. This is a good way that you can help, is by supporting Black businesses. If you are Black and you are listening, support Black businesses. I cannot say that enough. Support Black businesses. Killer Mike has a whole series about how he was trying to live by only supporting Black businesses. Whatever you're into, Black farms, they exist. Black distilleries, if you like alcohol, they exist. Black Black clothing lines that source materials from certain places that help Black or indigenous people or people of color in general. You can find it. You just have to want to. You have to want to. You can't just sit there and be like, well, I can't. You can. There's the thing. It's this really awesome thing. And it's the place where we post our podcast. It's called the internet. You can use that. And when you use the internet, you will find many a thing. We're doing a thing. You can do a thing too. So support Black businesses. I cannot say it enough. There are Black therapists out there, so please do that. There are Black cannabises, Black dispensaries, Black-owned cannabis farms, if that's what you do. There, if you want it to be Black, it can and will be. It exists. You just need to find it, and you just need to do the work. So we're just asking everybody to do the work. And like I said, we've had a vent session. We're happy that you listened. We're happy that you were here. We're happy for that. We're really pissed off, actually, but we're really happy. We're happy you're here. And if you made it this far, thank you so much. Just thank you for being with us. Thank you for being with us for 17 episodes. It's probably been about 21 to 22 weeks, maybe, if not longer than that.
Took a break here and there.
Yeah, we took a break here and there. We took a break last week, but just thanks for being with us as long as you have been. And we hope to be able to continue to bring you guys content that not only you guys like, but we like. And yeah, I've said a lot. I know my voice is hoarse. There's probably a lot more things that I could say, but I don't remember any of them. So we're just going to end it here. We love you. Stay safe. Wear your masks if you go out. Limit travel. If you are going to go out, just go protest. And have a wonderful night. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.